From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
Dennis's Heating and Air Conditioning is Northern California's premier heating and air conditioning contractor. From residential housing, large commercial projects, installation to repair, sheet metal fabrication, and everything in between, we are your go-to heating and air conditioning specialist.
Good morning, everyone. Chief Meteorologist Mike Krueger here. It is Tuesday, and we're going to take a look at our weather headlines. We're talking about those cold, frosty mornings. It's a colder start, I think, for many of us in the valley because the winds have died down, and that's going to allow those temperatures to drop right around or even below freezing in many cases. So we're going to be looking at more widespread frost here this morning for the valley, for the mountains, even the coast, seeing some of that as well. Now, we do have a slight warming trend. So despite these cold mornings, we do actually have daytime highs, which will be warming up over the next few days. And believe it or not, we'll be flirting with that 70-degree mark here as early as tomorrow, especially for the north end of the valley. Now, the winds will be dying down tonight, and that's, of course, today. And that's one of the reasons why we do have those cold temperatures this morning. But they'll be picking back up again off and on over the next several days. And when we talk about this cold Arctic air that's moving in this weekend, it may bring a little bit of snow, especially for parts of the Sierra, but right now, as it looks, this is a fairly moisture-starved system on Saturday. So if we do see anything in the mountains, it won't be much. All right, let's take a look at Krueger's Quickcast for your Tuesday, January 21st. Taking a quick look at your forecast for the day, here's what we've got. Of course, out the door this morning, it's cold. We're going to be just barely above freezing for many of us in the valley by 8 o'clock this morning. 20s, 30s elsewhere. The North Coast looking at temperatures in the mid-30s. So you saw some of those high clouds out there this morning, and that's because you can see right here we've got this boundary that's pushing through, and that's bringing us some of the high clouds. Now, once that moves out, we've got sunny skies once again here in the forecast here for today. Now, the winds for today, as I mentioned, they're dying down. As you can see here, 6 p.m., we're generally below 10 miles per hour in most cases. But by tonight, and especially tomorrow morning, we're starting to see those north winds pick back up. Now, I don't expect the winds tomorrow to be as strong as they were yesterday, but still upwards of around 20, close to 25 miles per hour, and maybe even some stronger winds here for some of those foothills. But elsewhere in the mountains and even along the coast, the winds aren't that much of an issue. Again, it's mainly for the valley and for the mountains and the foothills just east of the valley. All right, so for today, temperatures are going to be right around 60 degrees. Upper 50s for some of the cooler locations, 40s for most of the mountains, mid 50s for Trinity County, upper 50s inland, and mid to upper 50s for the coast. Looking at your 7-day outlook for the valley, we are going to see that slight increase in the temperatures. As I mentioned, we're close to 70 for Redding for both Wednesday and Thursday. Could some of us touch 70 degrees? Not out of the question. Looking pretty nice. But then temperatures drop. Quite a drop, actually. Some of that colder Arctic air moving in. Now, yes, we're going to see colder temperatures for those daytime highs, but it's not going to be, one of those situations where it's going to be some of the coldest temperatures we've ever seen. I think where we're really going to see the bigger impacts, especially in the mountains and especially for the Southern Cascades and Northern Sierra. Now, for the coast, inland, and for Trinity County, again, you can see that drop in the temperatures, mid to upper 40s over the weekend here for places like Weaverville. All right, for Siskiyou, Modoc, and the Eastern Mountains. And again, this is where we're seeing the bigger impact with those colder temperatures this weekend. Because as you can see here, we're only topping out at 37 for Mount Shasta City. I think we'll struggle to get out of the freezing temperature point here for Alturas. And Susanville, I have included a chance for some snow showers for you. Parts of the eastern mountains could see that. But as I mentioned, it's a moisture-starved system, so anything we do see, if we see anything at all, will be on the light side. And then you can see it's still pretty cold as we go into Sunday, Monday, but it is beginning to slowly warm up. All right, that's a look at Krueger's Quickcast. Hope you have yourselves a great day. If that's all you need, but stick around because we've got a deeper dive looking at that forecast as we go into the extended outlook here. But I do want to remind you, there's a free Weather NorCal app. Search for Weather NorCal in the App Store for your Android and on your iPhone, and you'll be good to go. Real quickly, let's talk about those fires in Southern California. We are seeing those containment numbers go up higher. The problem is the winds and the humidity is going to be low, or at least the humidity will be low and the winds will be strong. We still have a red flag warning until 10 o'clock tonight. And we also have until 2 o'clock this afternoon the high wind warning. We've got those gusty winds out there. Let's take a look at those winds. The area you can see especially just kind of surrounding Los Angeles, you've got some very strong winds. Not as bad in the mountains, but as we go into Wednesday, look what's happening. We're looking at more of a Santa Ana wind picking back up here. Very strong winds here just outside of Los Angeles. Take a look at Thursday. The winds still very strong, especially over those mountain ridge tops. Look at this, even south of Los Angeles. You're seeing some very strong winds. This is going to create problems. All right, I want to show you the fire weather risk as well because we're seeing some of the highest risk we've seen in a while here. Noon today, a lot of the yellows indicating that high risk. But look what happens as we go into your Wednesday, especially by midday. We're seeing a lot of oranges here, especially towards Long Beach here, right? That's getting even into the higher category. Okay, so then we go into Thursday. Remember, we saw those winds really picking up here. We're still seeing in the yellows and even some oranges indicating that high fire danger now, especially as you start heading closer to places like San Diego, but even as far north and northwest as Oxnard. So not looking good down in Southern California, unfortunately. Meanwhile, for us here in Northern California, the winds, not much of a factor out there for today, but by tomorrow, as I mentioned, we've got those winds picking up out of the north. 20, 25 miles per hour for the valley, and for the some of the foothills, looking at some pretty gusty winds there. But elsewhere, as you can see here, the winds, not all that strong. And then it looks like those winds may stick around, but just not quite as strong for your Thursday. So it's still a bit on the breezy side even for Thursday. So there are those high clouds filtering through this morning. Once that passes the south and east, though, I do expect more sunshine. But high pressure, that's the dominant feature here for today, tomorrow, and even Thursday. There's the ridge of high pressure. Now, what's happening is this colder air, that's really going to be diving down. Remember I was talking about that cold Arctic air moving in. So this is going to be diving down to the south here, and that's really going to drop the temperatures. So you see the positioning of the main area of low pressure. So this is where some of that coldest air is going to be, especially to the east of the valley. As you head in the valley, you saw it's not going to be quite as cold, and not even as cold for places like Trinity County or the North Coast, but still colder across the board nonetheless as we go into Saturday. And then that will move on out of here. And then it looks like we'll be looking at some of that warmer air trying to move in and some cooler air down to our south kind of pushing on in as well. But overall, we're still seeing those below normal temperatures here in the long range forecast. Meanwhile, we take a look at the chances for rain. Remember I was talking about the storm system is fairly moisture starved. So before we get to that, we talk about this ridge of high pressure that's keeping us dry. And again, this is going to be a pretty strong ridge, which will allow our temperatures to warm up even more. Could even get up to 7 degrees in some spots here for the north end of the valley in particular. Now, you can see here, there's that cold Arctic air that I was just showing you a little bit earlier. Right here is that colder air. So it's not here just yet on Friday. But even look up to the northeast. You're seeing some snow, but it's not a lot. This storm system is moisture starved. It's cold, it's fairly dry, and simply because it is coming from the Arctic, it's coming from a landmass. If it was coming from over the water, it would at least have some moisture to work with, but even then, the Gulf of Alaska is a very cold body of water, especially this time of the year, so we typically don't draw a lot of moisture out of it with these storm systems. You typically have to get more of that moisture coming in from the southwest. That's where we typically see most of that moisture, but again, not a lot of moisture. Now look at this. As we go into Saturday, most of it we saw was kind of in this general area here. This is why I expect some of the eastern mountains to maybe see a light dusting of snow, even for some of the highest elevations. But as you can see, most of it's down to the south, and even that, again, won't be all that heavy. Now, this is also going to possibly set us up with a stronger wind event coming in here by the time we do go into Saturday, Sunday, and Monday in particular. High pressure toward northwest, low pressure to our southeast. That will be a classic setup for some winds to pick up here as we do get into the second half of the weekend and early next week. So something worth watching. But you can see the precipitation outlook. We're still in that drier than normal category. And again, don't get too excited about this because that's not a lot of rain that's heading their way into Southern California, but it'll at least be the break that they could use. Unfortunately, though, those winds will also be picking up in Southern California later this weekend and into early next week as well, on top of the winds we're seeing this week as well, unfortunately. Now, again, we just take a look at the lake levels daily, just kind of give us a reminder that we're still doing okay despite the fact that our rain, we haven't seen much rain here lately. There you can see we're still about 125%, give or take, in that historical average, meaning our lake levels are good. Our reservoirs are looking good and full. We take a look at that ski report, still 57%, still 57 inches, that is, out of the summit at Mount Shasta Ski Park. We're seeing some of these numbers get a little bit smaller. That's just because we're not adding much snow on top. Now, a lot of these places, of course, even Mount Shasta Ski Park, are making snow because it has been so cold overnight that allows them to make some of that snow. So that's what's allowing us to kind of keep that ski season going, if you will. All right, taking a look at those wave heights, what we're seeing here is nothing all that significant. In fact, it looks like the wave heights may drop a little bit here as we go into Wednesday afternoon. Looking at that marine forecast, south winds at 5 knots, waves from the northwest at 2 feet at 6 seconds, and from the west at 7 feet at about 14 seconds. So here's your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. Notice the dry conditions, but it's going to be much colder as we take you into your Saturday, Sunday. So again, yes, that cold Arctic air is moving in, but we're at least even staying, at least for those daytime highs, above those 30-degree temperatures. For the coast, yeah, it's getting cooler too. Temperatures in the low 50s by the time we do get into Saturday and Sunday. Up north, about 59 degrees for Smith River today, 59 for Gasquet, 56 for Oric, and Trinidad about 58. And for the inland areas, what you'll notice really more so is not necessarily the daytime highs. Yeah, they'll be cooler, but the overnight lows will drop down in the upper 20s and lower 30s there as that colder Arctic air moves in. Taking a look at Siskiyou County, temperatures are going to be in the upper 40s to low 50s, 50 for Wairika, 49 degrees for Weed, and Mount Shasta City about 51. We've got you dry, maybe some clouds coming in on Friday into Saturday. Cold daytime high of only 37. We're down to the upper teens for Mount Shasta by Saturday and into Sunday as well. So again, that colder air is going to have that impact. Taking a look at Modoc County, look at this. All right, so for today, yeah, not bad. Upper 40s, low 50s. But look at the temperatures. They go up a little bit here. And then by Saturday, El Turris, you're only going to top out at 33 degrees on Saturday. Look at the overnight lows. We're down in the low teens, and then it does start to warm back up again in the low 40s by Monday of next week. Your Eastern Mountains neighborhood forecast, temperatures 40s and 50s for most of those higher elevations. Paradise 55, 51 for Chester, and 50 in Susanville. Now, again, looking at Susanville, 7-day forecast. All right, so here's what we've got here. Saturday, that chance for some snow showers. Look how cold it is, 36, 37, then 39, so a slight increase. We're only in the mid to upper teens here for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. But what I would like to mention here is, yes, there is that chance for some snow flurries. Say Chester, Fall River Mills maybe, Quincy, eastward, right? But places like Bernie, Viola, Mineral, Paradise, Shingletown, most likely steering clear of any snow. Now again, keep in mind, even though we've got that chance for snow on Saturday, don't count on much. It shouldn't be a big deal. Taking a look at your Valley neighborhood forecast brought to you by Walgamith Painting. Your temperatures today are going to be the upper 50s. We're warming up into the mid to upper 60s for Wednesday, Thursday. And look at this. For Red Bluff, you're going to be up to 68 on Wednesday, 67 Thursday, and then there's that colder air moving in by Saturday and Sunday. Let's take a look at that 7-day outlook for Redding. I didn't quite pull the trigger on 70 degrees for that daytime high, but 69, 68 on Thursday, and we're back down to the mid to upper 50s by the weekend. That's your morning update. Thanks so much for joining us. I'll be back again at noon with your latest update. Have a great morning.
Wiggly mouth.
Woggy mouth.
No.
Painting.
Wiggy mouth.
It's Woogie Moth Painting.
It's Walgamith Painting, and yes, we'll paint anything.